to unlock Panmure, and I invite the staff up. Jessica Lang from Panuku, David Rankin. Welcome, Jessica.
Yep.
Welcome, David. And we've had a very good workshop, which was chaired by the Deputy Chair, Richard Hills, on this.
Thank you very much for having me.
On his honeymoon.
He is.
Thank you for having me, and I would just like to first acknowledge Denise Lee and also the local board for their support for this project. And certainly Panuku has really enjoyed working with the local board and councillor and those the local MP and the community to shape this future plan for Unlock Panmure. Obviously, as you have heard, Panmure is in a really great location, very centrally well located. It's got amazing potential. It has a really good transport connection. The new train station that was completed in 2014. It gets you into CBD, and those are key areas of employment, and 15 minutes to CBD. And it has Tamaki Regeneration Company already in this space, delivering 7,500 houses over the next 15 years, and certainly that will put more pressure on Panmure as a key centre in the area and also on the community facilities. So what is presented today is a full regeneration project that will really lift the capacity of the centre to help support future growth and also better service the existing community as well. It has a lot of good concentration of council and Crown asset we can actually also leverage as well to utilise those assets to help service and fund a lot of the community infrastructure that's really critically needed. A lot of these community facilities are 40, 50 years old. They're all at a space where we really need to reconsider the long-term, medium, long-term plan for those facilities. So we're not constantly playing catch-up that once the community have moved in and and our facility are struggling. So with that in mind, I would like to seek councillor endorsement of this plan.
Thank you. Councillor and new Councillor, Councillor Josephine Bartley would like to move the motions.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do I have a second for? Deputy Mayor will second. Thank you. And thank you, staff. Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just speaking in support of what Panuku have presented, I look at in order for us to look ahead, we need to look back, and we have a lot of development that's happened in Panmure back in 1937. We had the Tamaki State Housing Scheme. That was probably the last time that there's been such a boom in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. Now that we have the Tamaki regeneration, we need the same boom to happen again. And so I see this as a project that will help enable that boom to happen for our area. It also aligns with the Auckland Plan, creating urban spaces for the future, focusing investment in areas of highest population density and greatest need. And with the unitary plan allowing heavy intensification in the area, we are going to need more development with our infrastructure in the area. Also mindful that in 1944 it was a guy called Ernest Pilsch that drew up the shopping complex in city centre back in the day. And so this is an opportunity to build on that, because we haven't looked at our shopping centre area since then. But when he did design it, it included a series of reserves, walkways for pedestrians. So he was looking at connectedness, and that's something that this Unlock Panmure will also build on. The sign, the roundabout sign it's got a back to the future kind of feel to it, and this is an opportunity to do that, to prepare for the future, but also develop our area to cater for the needs of those there now, because we have so many degraded facilities that haven't been upgraded since the 50s, and you can just see that with the Panmure Hall, with the squash club that's in the Lagoon Stadium, where the tree is growing into the wall and you really can't do anything in that facility anymore. Our swimming pools that can't cater for all the people there currently, and really we need to upgrade it so that it can cater for those that are going to move in as well. So very, very mindful of the aspirations of our community. The Panmure Business Association have been frustrated for many years about how degraded our town centre or our area is, especially Clifton Court. Acknowledge Denise Lee, our MP, for her work in bringing this project to where it is now. The Mongakiki Tamaki Local Board. When I was chair, when this first came up, we had an afternoon tea with our community stakeholders because we didn't want a project that was done to us. We wanted a project that would enable and implement our aspirations. And going forward, I would like to see the local board, the governing body and Panuku working together, owning this together to make it happen for our community. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. I am mindful that we are selling we could be looking at selling the community hall, the library, that side, but I take heart in that it is to redevelop those community facilities and am hopeful for the reinvestment discussion that's yet to be had by the governing body. So those are a few points that I just want to add to the discussions. We already have Crown investment in the area. We have great transport infrastructure that we're building on through the Eastern Busway. Of course, we have some, resistance to progress, resistance to change, and those are things that we have to work through together as a community. But in ending, I want to say that, Panmure is ready for progress, and we see this as an opportunity. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Other speakers on this? Member Tauhenare.
Well, Mr. Chair, normally IMSB would be in total support of the Unlock programs. It's great for development, it's great for the communities. On this occasion, though, we would like to put forward an issue that worries me personally, and undoubtedly taxes the mind of my colleagues on the IMSB, and that's the disposal of council-owned properties and also Crown-owned properties as well. There's some Crown land shown on the map, potentially subject to mana whenua and Tamaki Collective claims, and I think what I want to be able to do is to have a cast iron agreement, and cast iron is a very old term, about any land that is disposed of goes through that RFR right of first refusal process, or at least iwi, in this case Tamaki Collective, are told at a very, very early stage about what is coming up for sale or disposal, and B, if they want to try and purchase under the treaty legislation. If not, sweet, flick it off if you have to. So that's my concern.
We just pose that as a question, and so this relates to the Crown component?
Well, it's actually Crown and what council owns as well. I mean, I have a concern that there are council properties that will be flicked on, and I'm not opposed to selling, but I am opposed to selling without going through due process.
So Mr. Chairman, the position with Crown and council-owned land is quite different. So Panuku won't be selling Crown land. Of the land that Panuku does sell on behalf of the council, there is no right of first refusal, but as Member Henry has referred to, there is a cast iron commitment on our part to give early notice to mana whenua partners on development sites that they may wish to express interest in which case we have a discussion, but there are no guarantees about the outcome. But is absolutely part of our business model to give early notice on all sites to the mana whenua.
In point 16, the Māori impact statement, it says, second sentence, Panuku will endeavour to work in partnership. Now, that is different to if you take endeavour to out and leave it as Panuku will work in partnership. I know it's very subtle, but I think if we had a, to use the cast iron analogy again, if we had a cast iron commitment somewhere in the recommendations that Panuku would work in partnership with iwi and hapu towards best care for land, water and people throughout planning and implementation of land development in Panmure, that would be fine. And also a commitment by Panuku to what you just said. You know, I need it to be written in somewhere that our people can say, hey, these guys are not mucking around. There is going to be some at least one early announcement of what's going to be sold off or disposed of.
Yeah, the reason we use the term endeavour is because we can only use best endeavours to reach agreement over particular development propositions, because it depends at the end of the day whether there's an iwi that is interested and whether we can agree on terms. But if you're looking for acknowledgement that we give early notice to mana whenua about the sites, well, that is our policy at the moment. That is our cast iron policy. So adding it in here won't cause any damage, but nor does it add anything to the fact that's what we do as part of standard process with all sites we are looking to dispose of.
So just on that, you're not opposed to that slight amendment?
If you want to note, if we want to note early notice to mana whenua of any sites that are going to be sold in this location, that's fine, Mr. Chairman.
I'm happy to accept that. Councillor Bartley. Sorry, I'm not in a position to accept it. Actually, I didn't move it or second it. Yeah. So, Councillor Bartley and the Deputy Mayor, you've heard the concern of the IMSB. For me, it looks like a refinement, but I will take your lead, Councillor Bartley and Deputy Mayor.
Okay. Yep. Sounds. I don't have an issue with what Member Henare raised.
Okay. Can we just go to the right part of these words then, please? It's a D. Can we quickly have that draft?
Yeah, it's really noting Panuku existing policy to take advance notice of sites that will be sold for development to mana whenua.
Okay, we'll just, any other questions or anybody would like to speak on this? While this is being written up, Mayor Goff.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Look, I thoroughly endorse the recommendations. When we talk about the housing crisis in Auckland, which is real, we always worry that we have so few tools in our hands as council that enable us to address the housing shortage and unaffordability problems across the city. In this area, we do have tools. We have land that we can pass across for development, and we can create 1,000 homes, of which a great many will be affordable or for social housing. And that means, to pick up Tau Henare's point, housing for a lot of our Māori community, a lot of our Pacifica community. And the reason that the local board, the previous and the current ward councillor and the current MP have supported this is because it makes sense. I stood at the top of that Panmure railway bus station and I thought 18 minutes to town, it said, and then you can go back to the south or you can go out to the east, and even more so with Amity. Here is a place that is built, made for new homes that are connected with existing infrastructure. And as I looked around me, what did I see? Did I see new homes? I saw hectares and hectares of used car sale yards. And, you know, people, I was challenged by the chair of Devonport to say whether I supported the sale of assets. I'm not in favour of strategic assets, but government and council sell assets all the time in order to invest in something that is better. And this is a case We know, the board knows, Josephine Bartley knows that if we didn't sell the land that we've got there, we wouldn't have the capital to invest in these new homes. So it's not a choice of keeping everything that we've got and getting more, because we don't have the funds for it. But we do, this enables us to create 1,000 homes. It enables us to lift up the Main Street, Queen Street in Panmure. It enables us to connect a new and create a new and vibrant community connected with the Maunga, connected with the basin. This area is made for regeneration and renewal. And it's fantastic to hear the positivity of the local board in favour of it and of the local ward councillor. I think that's tremendous. And look, there is no question but that we should not only approve these, but work immediately with government around Kiwi Build to get these homes built. We have a crisis. What are we as the council doing about it? Here is something where we have the instruments to act. Let's take that opportunity. Let's create a fantastic new community centre. Let's create a fantastic new community for Panmure. We can lift buildings that are pretty old and tired and out of date now and replace them with homes that are really fit for people to live in, homes that are affordable and social housing. Everything is going for this plan, and I just want to finish by congratulating Panuku for the work that they've put into it.
Thank you, Mayor Goff. I'll just go back to member Tauhara.
Kia ora, Mr. Chairman. Tēnā kōrua. So just looking at that, I mean, I'm okay in the terms of the intent of it, but I guess there's a question I have in terms of existing policy around, because of previous matters that have arisen before around this type of thing, is that sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's commercial. Sometimes the Māori impact statement says both, but as we found out at a recent meeting, there was a sentence in there about commercial that shouldn't have been in there because it was never intended to be a commercial opportunity anyway. So I guess my question to you, Mr. Chairman, is about the intent of, is it both cultural and commercial?
Yeah, this is the problem, Mr. Chairman, of picking out bits of what is a big framework around the sale of property, because with your other hat on in the Finance Committee, councillors will know there is an extensive set of protocols and process around the sale of property. So it is another part of our standard policy to canvass early on with mana whenua any cultural issues or items of interest on all sites as part of a sale process. So again, that's another piece of our practice that, so we picked out one bit here. There are lots more that you could pick out, but what I'm saying is that that is all there.
So that, what I'm trying to get clear is, by you agreeing to, you know, supporting or not opposing that and saying it won't cause a big problem, you are acknowledging that it's inclusive of both potentials?
Yes.
Cultural and commercial?
Yeah, we check cultural for cultural interest or issues. Yeah. And as a separate exercise, we check for...
no, I understand that. I want everyone around the table to be clear about it when it gets raised.
No, you're correct.
At a further forum and i.e.g. finance and performance. So when just taking on board the cultural aspects, in terms of the properties that are listed in C, D and E, what assessments have already been done culturally in terms of any impacts they have prior to seeking opportunity to dispose of? Are we clear on that one, Mr. Chairman? And if the answer is none yet, the answer is none yet.
So for all the properties listed currently in the disposal list has all been inquired for amity, and as part of the acquisitions process, they've undertake quite a detailed due diligence. So TIPA himself has in commission historical record of each of the property acquired for amity, and my understanding is that there isn't any historical tie to in terms of subject to offer back or anything like that.
Yeah, but I think the answer to your question, Member Taipari, is that if that hasn't happened, it will happen prior to sale. We would have to get back to you whether any of these sites have been put through that process yet or not.
So prior to sale, but not having that information available to know whether or what can be disposed of appropriately, i.e. the impacts of the cultural matters that may affect any sale or disposal. So this is my question again, like I've asked this on numerous occasions, but chicken and egg stuff, in terms of shouldn't you be finding this information out first before you start putting it out there to be made available for the market or whomever? And I guess what I'm trying to promote is the opportunity for possibly a recommendation that cultural assessments are done on these properties prior. So
they will be done prior to going to the market.
No. Well, but what about prior coming to either this committee or as it says in the report, Finance and Performance, who has to make a resolution to dispose of?
Before Finance and
Performance. So that's what before the Finance and Performance meeting, so that we have full information as committee members around the table what we're actually agreeing to be disposed of.
David, do you have a response to that?
Yeah, could I just start? Yes, certainly in the shaping of the plan, we have worked quite closely with Mana Whenua. They have expressed there isn't any sites that's currently identified in the area. Obviously, we recognise there's a very strong Mana Whenua presence in the project area, and we'll continue to work with Mana Whenua on any cultural design, any sort of commercial opportunity that's already embedded in the high-level project plan. And also the due diligence we have done on every single property has not identified any cultural interests on any of the sites. So we have all the lists of properties that has rationalisation report that's all been completed, and so far nothing's come up within the disposal list.
Okay, sorry, can you just repeat that? You have undertaken your own due diligence and you have not identified any cultural interests at this stage?
Not at this stage,
that doesn't close that process off?
But we can certainly undertake a further layer to screen that before sites go to market.
I think we can clarify the position when it goes to finance, Mr. Chairman. We'll give Member Taipari clarity on what he's asking.
That would be good, because my next question was I wouldn't mind seeing that information, to be honest, Mr. Chairman, that was just referred to. But I think it would be more appropriate to allow opportunity to present that to Finance Performance as it was just delivered then, because I don't really want to rush at everybody and say, send me all the volumes of cultural assessments and investigations that you've done on the property. I mean, I have a doubt at the moment, but as I say, I'm happy to sit back and wait now for the next stage, but clearly, sorry, Mr. Chairman, clearly,
Maxwell Smart, your phone.
Clearly, again, the information is, I'm not sure about it. I mean, the messages I'm having is that it's not been done. And so that's why I'm asking for it. And I would have liked a recommendation saying that, but I'm happy to wait for the Finance and Performance, which leaves the risk of seeking a recommendation to defer disposal if the necessary information isn't provided as it was offered up today. Okay. So one more question, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry about my phone going on. The statement earlier was the leverage on the Crown land. What did that mean?
Which paragraph is that?
No, that was the statement that was presented earlier about we got council land and we got Crown land, which we could get leverage off the Crown land. I'm quite interested to know what that means.
Can you expand on that statement, Jessica?
Oh yes, within our project area we also have a parcel that's owned by Tamaki Regeneration Company, and that's owned by half Crown and half our government and also half council. So that's also a property we will be able to leverage off in terms of achieving towards the overall objectives and vision of the Panmure Town Centre Plan.
So taking all that into account and the potential for Crown land to be RFR for treaty settlements, how have you taken that into account in the context of the leverage you refer to, the treaty settlement matters?
I think the simple point that's being made is that it's really picking up the same point the Mayor made, which is this is a centre where the public sector has a significant amount of land that once each party has gone through whatever processes it needs to can release a lot of housing into the market, a lot of sites into the market for housing. The Crown has to sort out its own processes and iwi obligations. It has quite, refined protocols around that, and obviously they can't release sites till they do, and we do as well. But the point is, cumulatively, between the both of us, we have the ability to make a very big impact on Panmure over time and produce a lot of housing.
Member Taipari, we will pick those points up at Finance?
Yeah.
And,
For Finance.
Yeah, well, we want the information prior to Finance.
You'd like it prior?
Well, it's part of the reportage to the meeting.
Okay, can we just leave it with the Chair and the Deputy Chair who have heard that as well as the staff, and we will pick that up in the reporting or even prior if Panuku choose to convey it prior.
As long as we
So,
get it.
Member Taipari.
Helpful, Councillor Simpson, but in terms of affirming that position, of providing that information, can we do that in this forum to provide that for the Finance and Performance Committee?
Well, I'm hearing we've got that assurance, but if you want to put that in the motion.
Cast iron commitment. I'm happy to move that cast iron commitment.
Dutch oven?
If you could please quickly draft the words, it's really good to have these things in advance.
Well,
Mr. Chair,
I
Stem from the commissioning. That's it.
yeah. I'll sit and try and...
And Councillor Simpson, please.
so Mr. Chair, just in defence of that, I suppose the comment from Member Taipari that concerned me, that if it wasn't done correctly, it would come unstuck at Finance and Performance. And I think what I'm hearing is everyone thinks it's a good... Everyone thinks it's a good idea, but maybe they've done it. There's been a mistake twice now, and I suppose I'm just as putting a stopgap measure to make sure that it's not third time. And I'd hate something like this to come unstuck at a meeting on finance when actually it's a planning issue. So yes, it's cast iron, but I just think by way of resolution it just adds some clarity.
I'll go to Member Hanna.
Yeah, I don't think there's any issue with whether we support it or not. The Mayor's corridor put it succinctly, and we absolutely support development of any initiatives that will house Māori, Pākehā, Samoan, whoever. It doesn't matter. Well, maybe not. I don't know. But you can't get there unless you do the work properly, and that's all we're after is a commitment to do those little things properly, so that iwi and Māori in general don't get left out of the equation.
So can I just clarify, Mr Chairman, that it is normal process for the Finance Committee to approve the sale of the sites, and that's where that information would normally go. By approving this plan is not making that process unnecessary. That's how the system is designed to work.
Yeah. Okay. And you are comfortable with that information coming to the Finance Committee?
Yeah.
And look, we'll just have a look at those words, and then I'll take a speaking turn or question from Councillor Lee.
Yeah, it's not been referred to, but the area is very sensitive in terms of it was a battlefield in 1820, and there are a lot of people who were killed on that site. It's so sensitive that in regard to Amity, a major archaeological investigation has been going on for some years. The matter is obviously very sensitive, but I think this is not a simple case where the council agrees to flog off another long list of property and hope that a developer will do the right thing. I think the council does actually have some responsibility in regard to obligations to Māori to ensure that all the area to be redeveloped has been cleared, if you like, in terms of the sensitive matters I've been talking about. I'll leave it at that. But there's more to this than actually meets the eye. and I think we need to tread very, very carefully indeed here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Lee. Now, I think there's been a conversation with the mover and the seconder, or at least the mover, I think, and the seconder. Right. And we'll just, what have we got? It's just coming up now. And we'll put it to the vote. Once we've seen it, we're comfortable with it. They're coming up now, and you can see it as, is it the new H or the blue H? The blue red H.
This one here.
Okay, it's the H.
It's the H.
Member Taipari, comfortable? Member Councillor Bartley? Deputy Mayor, maybe just a little refinement. Just wait a minute, please.
So my only thing is I don't really think it needs the word note. I think it just says the information will be provided.
It's different between authorising.
It's not necessarily a note, is it? It's an action.
Look, I think we're probably getting into the semantics of it now.
Yeah.
The intention is clear.
Yep.
Can I just have
happy with
clarification, please, Mr. Chairman? So, my understanding with Panuku's role is that we charge them to go and do all this work. But their policy is they don't do deep dive investigations because it costs money until we actually say we will actually sell something, because we don't want to waste money on them doing. So I just wonder about the balance of this, because we're going very deep into this and we haven't even approved the sale at the moment. So
no, but as Jessica did outline, they've undertaken due diligence. They've had a look at those.
Oh yes, I understand that. I'm talking about the having cultural impacts and these sorts of things. If we go ahead, and it's quite possible, the way conversations have been going today, that we won't move ahead on a lot of things, and I don't want us wasting money on things that we're not actually going to do. So I just want some reassurance that we're not kind of undermining a policy we've already set, that has already been set.
Either Jessica or David on that. You've heard the concern, Jessica or David?
Well, I think, look, in summary, Mr. Chairman, we're comfortable with what's there to go to the Finance Committee, and I would point out or emphasise something Jessica said earlier, which is there has been extensive Mana Whenua involvement in this high-level project plan. If you look at page 12 and 13, for example, there's extensive cultural narrative that's all come from Mana Whenua that have participated in that. So we're very comfortable with significant Mana Whenua work in these plans and being sensitive to cultural interest in sites in the locations we're working in.
Thank you. Councillor Bartley's okay with that amendment and accepting that, and Deputy Mayor?
Yep.
Thank you. Got that.
Can I ask Mr. Rankin whether he could liaise with Auckland Transport Tipa Campaigns Department in regard to the archaeological sensitivity of that area?
Yes, we've been working with Amity team throughout the whole plan shaping. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. Put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that carried. We'll take a 5-minute break and come back for the next item.